How Karen frames my wife up and calls 911, unaware. She's an undercover U.S. CIA agent on duty. Imagine a neighborhood where the tranquility is shattered by one person's relentless pursuit of power and control. A place where the pursuit of status and envy can lead to a descent into chaos. This is the story of how my wife and I found ourselves at the center of a maelstrom, orchestrated by a woman named Karen, who would stop at nothing to assert her dominance. Karen, shouting, "You think you're better than everyone else with your fancy cars and your perfect lawn? You're going to regret ever moving here. I'll make sure you leave this neighborhood, mark my words." Karen, we understand you have concerns, but threatening us isn't the solution. We're just trying to live our lives peacefully. Karen, peacefully? You call flaunting your wealth peacefully? You're disrupting the harmony of this community. We're not trying to disrupt anything. We just want to be good neighbors. Karen, shouting once more, "You'll never be good neighbors. You'll be gone before you know it." As we navigated this tense situation, little did Karen know that my wife was more than just a neighbor. She was an undercover CIA agent, living a life that few could imagine. But for now, that secret remained hidden, even as Karen's threats escalated. My wife and I moved into this affluent neighborhood with the hope of building a peaceful life. However, our presence seemed to ignite a fire of jealousy in Karen, who began to monitor our every move, complaining about everything from our cars to our yard decorations. Her obsession with us grew, fueled by a deep-seated resentment towards our lifestyle. This story explores the shocking events that unfolded when Karen's jealousy turned into a dangerous obsession, leading her to frame my wife for a crime she didn't commit. But what Karen didn't know would change everything: the truth about my wife's identity and the justice that would soon follow. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from in the comment section, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more gripping tales. Have you ever faced a situation where someone's jealousy turned into a threat to your well-being? How did you handle it? It was supposed to be a dream come true, moving into an affluent neighborhood with manicured lawns and friendly faces. My wife and I were excited to start this new chapter of our lives, but little did we know our arrival would stir up a storm. Karen, a woman who had lived in the neighborhood for years, seemed to take an instant dislike to us. She would often glance over at our house, her eyes lingering on our cars and beautifully decorated yard. I remember the first time we met Karen. She seemed nice enough, but there was something off about her. She kept asking questions about our cars and how we afforded them. Yes, and she would always find excuses to come over and check on things. It was like she was waiting for us to slip up so she could report us to the HOA. It was clear she was jealous. She would complain about the noise from our pool parties, even though they were always reasonable hours. It was like she wanted to control every aspect of our lives. Karen's jealousy was palpable. She would often call the HOA, reporting us for minor infractions that didn't even exist. It was a constant battle, but we tried to stay calm, hoping that eventually she would tire of her games. As time went on, Karen's behavior became more erratic. She would follow us around the neighborhood, taking notes on our movements. It was like living in a fishbowl, with her always watching and waiting for her moment to strike. Imagine walking out of your front door every morning, only to see Karen standing across the street, her eyes fixed on you like a hawk. Every time you left your house, she would be there, lurking in the shadows, taking pictures or videos. It was a constant reminder that we were being monitored, that our every move was under scrutiny. It was like she thought she was some kind of neighborhood detective, always snooping around, looking for something to use against us. And the threats. Oh, the threats. She would say things like, "You'll regret moving here," or "You won't be here for long." It was like she was trying to intimidate us into leaving. But we weren't going to let her push us around. We had done nothing wrong. My wife, on the surface, seemed like any other suburban mom-com, intelligent and always composed. But what Karen didn't know, and what few people did, was that my wife led a double life. She was an undercover CIA agent, trained to handle high-pressure situations with ease. As Karen's actions became more aggressive, my wife's secret life remained hidden, even from our neighbors. But the skills she had honed in her line of work would soon prove invaluable in dealing with Karen's escalating threats. It's funny, looking back, Karen thought she was dealing with just another couple, but she had no idea she was tangling with a CIA agent. Yes, and I think that's what made her so bold. She underestimated us from the start. What would you do if someone tried to sabotage your life out of sheer envy? It was a typical Saturday morning when my wife decided to head to the nearby supermarket for some groceries. She parked her Lamborghini in the lot, a car that had become a symbol of our success, but also a source of Karen's envy. As she shopped, Karen watched from a distance, her eyes fixed on my wife with an intensity that bordered on obsession. Karen waited until my wife briefly stepped away from her car to load groceries. That was her moment. She quickly planted illegal drugs in the car, her hands moving swiftly as she ensured no one was watching. The act was done in seconds, but its consequences would be far-reaching. It's unbelievable how quickly Karen acted. She must have been planning this for a while. Yes, and she thought she had covered her tracks perfectly. But what she didn't count on was the security camera in my car. As my wife returned to her car, Karen confronted her aggressively, her voice loud and accusatory. The scene drew attention from other shoppers, who began to stare, unsure of what was happening. Karen, you're a criminal. I know what you're doing. You're selling drugs out of your car. I have no idea what you're talking about. Please, step back. Karen, don't play dumb with me. I've been watching you. I know all about your little operation. I assure you, there's been a misunderstanding. Please, let's resolve this calmly. It's almost comical how Karen thought she had the upper hand. She had no idea who she was dealing with. Yes, and her arrogance was her downfall. She underestimated me from the start. The confrontation quickly escalated as Karen called 911, claiming my wife was involved in illegal activities. Police officers arrived promptly, responding to the urgency in Karen's voice. They approached my wife cautiously, unsure of the situation but prepared for anything. As the officers began questioning my wife, she remained composed, answering their questions calmly. But the tension was palpable. Everyone knew that one wrong move could lead to serious consequences. It was surreal watching the police arrive. You could feel the weight of the situation, the uncertainty of what might happen next. Yes, but I knew I had done nothing wrong. I just needed to stay calm and let the truth come out. Just as it seemed like the situation couldn't get any more intense, my wife revealed her identity as a CIA agent on duty. The officers were taken aback, their expressions a mix of surprise and curiosity. I'm a CIA agent. I have been working undercover. This is part of my operation. Ma'am, can you prove that? Of course, let me show you. My wife pulled out her phone and accessed the security footage from her car's camera. The video clearly showed Karen planting the drugs, her actions caught in stark detail. The officers watched in silence, their faces reflecting their shock and disbelief. Karen's expression changed from confidence to horror as she realized she had been caught. She stuttered, trying to defend herself, but it was too late. The evidence was irrefutable. It was amazing to see Karen's reaction when she realized she had been caught. The look on her face was priceless. Yes, and it was a relief to finally have the truth out. It was a turning point in the whole ordeal. How would you react if someone tried to frame you for a crime you didn't commit? As the truth came to light, the police officers immediately apologized to my wife for the misunderstanding. They then turned their attention to Karen, arresting her on the spot for her malicious actions. The tables had turned, and now Karen was the one facing justice. The trial was a dramatic affair, with Karen's defense team struggling to explain away the incriminating evidence. In the end, justice prevailed, and Karen was sentenced to 10 years in prison for her crimes. The courtroom erupted in a mix of emotions relief, anger, and a sense of vindication. It was surreal watching Karen's downfall. She had been so confident, so sure of herself, but in the end, her own arrogance was her undoing. Yes, and it was a reminder that justice can be slow, but it always catches up in the end. As news of Karen's sentencing spread through the neighborhood, reactions were mixed. Some were shocked, unable to believe that someone they had known for so long could be capable of such deceit. Others, however, were not surprised, revealing that they too had experienced Karen's wrath over the years. One neighbor shared a story of how Karen had once accused them of violating neighborhood rules, only to later admit she had made a mistake. Another spoke of how Karen would often call the police on them for trivial matters, trying to intimidate them into compliance. It was amazing to see how many people had similar experiences with Karen. It was like a weight had been lifted off the entire neighborhood. Yes, and it showed that we weren't alone in this. There were others who had been suffering in silence. As we look back on this ordeal, it's clear that resilience and justice were the themes that defined our experience. My wife's ability to remain calm under pressure, combined with the truth eventually coming to light, ensured that justice prevailed. It was a difficult time, but it taught me a lot about standing up for myself and trusting in the system. In the end, the truth always comes out. And it showed us that even in the darkest moments, there is always hope for justice and redemption. This experience taught us to never underestimate the power of truth and justice. It may take time, but it always prevails. Yes, and it reminded us of the importance of staying strong, even when faced with false accusations. Do you believe that justice always prevails in situations like these? As we conclude this incredible story of resilience and justice, we invite you to join the conversation. Share your thoughts on this story in the comments below. Have you ever faced a similar situation where you had to stand up against injustice? We want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this story and believe in the power of justice and resilience, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more gripping tales of courage and integrity. We have a wealth of inspirational stories waiting for you. Stories like ours remind us that we're not alone in our struggles. By sharing them, we hope to inspire others to stand up for what's right. Yes, and it's a reminder that justice can prevail even in the darkest times. As we reflect on this journey, it's clear that courage, integrity, and resilience are the pillars that hold us strong against adversity. My wife's story is a testament to these values, standing up against false accusations, trusting in the truth, and never giving up. This story teaches us that even when faced with seemingly insurmountable challenges, staying true to oneself and believing in justice can lead to remarkable outcomes. It reminds us that our actions have consequences, and that integrity is the foundation upon which we build our lives. As you watch this story come to a close, remember that you too have the power to stand up against injustice. Whether it's in your community, your workplace, or your personal life, your voice matters. Don't be afraid to use it. This experience has taught us so much about the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it's difficult. Yes, and it's shown us that our voices can make a difference. We hope that our story inspires others to do the same. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories of courage and resilience.